Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, talking about a PlayStation VR game here. This is Wipe-Out. It's actually the Omega Collection, which came out about a year ago or so, and then they patched in VR support for it. And wow, this really blows my mind, this game. In fact, it's kind of been referred to as a game from the future, but we'll get into that in a second. You can see I haven't really unlocked too many of the vehicles here because this is tough, this game, but gorgeous. Here we are sitting in the cockpit and you get an idea of just what the VR-ness adds. Like when you're sitting inside these vehicles, you really get a sense of being there in a way that not a lot of other games deliver. But I'm going to shut up and just try and do one of the races here. And yes, I can say this game is as exhausting as it looks in the screen here. I mean, it's great. It's an incredible experience, but you're kind of just blown away. Like, I get exhausted playing this thing in a fun way, in a good way. I really enjoy the Wipe-Out series, and I think I'd played the one on PlayStation 3, but I couldn't wrap my head around the controls too well and kind of gave up on Wipe-Out for a while. When I heard that they were going to be patching in this VR support for the Omega Collection, though, I changed my mind right quick. I got the Omega Collection just so that when this thing did launch in VR, I could have my socks well and truly knocked off. And that's what happens when you play this game. I mean, just look at it. The best description I ever heard of this game, or this mode, was actually from local Vancouver video game journalist Victor Lucas. He was doing an interview on this game and PlayStation VR in general, and he was saying to whoever it was he was talking to, when we were kids growing up in, say, the 80s or so, you know, knowing the arcade generation and all that kind of stuff, and then going home and playing on our 16-bit consoles, if you had asked us then, what are video games going to look like in the future, in the 21st century? This is what we imagined they would be. And he's right. Like, this game it goes beyond description as to what it is capable of and what the technology has brought us to now. Well, that's that race complete, and I came in last. So, here I am having another race on a different track. This one's a bit more twisty and turny, and I wanted to intentionally show this one because I do find, as awesome as this game is, it's exhausting. Like, I have to sort of take a breather after only a couple of tracks. You notice how my vehicle is sort of twisting and turning at the bottom of the screen there, and yet my view of the horizon remains the same, sort of level? That's the comfort setting I've got it on, which I think is the first one, and it's honestly the one that I have to play. Here, I'll dabble with some of the other views so you get an idea. So we go into the menu here and switch down to the camera. I've got it locked to the cockpit. If I now change that over, there's two other options. We're going to try lock the camera to the track. This one's still not too bad, but I'll show you what that does. See, now I'm kind of a little more... The horizon is remaining somewhat level. Somewhat. But now the twisty nature of the vehicle underneath me, it's like it's been cut loose and more, it's a more visceral sensation, but man, it's pretty rough on the old queasiness. So what I'll do now is I'll show you the final option for the view. We're going to lock the camera to the pilot. And they're going to warn me, this is going to make you queasy, and it does. But for the sake of the channel and for your viewing pleasure, I'm going to give it a whirl. I don't know that this really comes across too clearly in the view. I hope it does, especially on these twisty-turny segments. But now my view is... It's my head movements that are... How could I describe it? It's me inside the cockpit, and the camera is not keeping the horizon level. It's not doing anything to assist me at all. And this is playable for maybe one level, one track, and then I just got to take a break. I mean, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure the VR heavyweights definitely strip all these comfort settings down to almost nothing so that they can enjoy this mode. But I just find it's a little bit bringing my lunch up into my throat, this mode, so I don't really play this very much. Sixth place, though. Maybe that slightly dizzying perspective is actually better for my racing success. Regardless, I'm gonna put this back to lock to cockpit. Get out of here. I guess while we're in the menu, though, I wonder if anybody's still playing this. Let's go over to the online mode. As I'm recording this, it's 2019. And no, okay. Yeah, I mean, even the VR mode was a good, I want to say 6 months ago now, and my guess is people who are heavily into their PSVR, they've moved on to other titles. Nobody's showing up. Nope, nothing. And unfortunately, for anyone who remembers Wipe-Out on the original PlayStation 1, some rather sad news about the soundtrack. One of the contributing bands, Prodigy, they just recently lost their lead singer, Keith Flint. Which is too bad. The song was Firestarter, and I actually had that album back when it first came out, so gonna miss him. Rest in peace, Keith Flint.
Rockets.
Well, this has been Wipe-Out, the Omega Collection in PSVR, a video game of the future. So I will say goodbye to you from the future of video games, and until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.